Good evening, folks. Welcome back to another Monday night live stream. How is everybody? Hope you all had a fantastic weekend. I see we've had plenty of chat tonight. I got quite a surprise when I came to log on and get everything set up there just beforehand, and there was a whole wall of chat of random comments between people, everybody getting involved. Somebody asking about different, I was going to say time zones, but it's different sort of clocks going forward, clocks going back all over the place. But yeah, I think we're starting to settle in now. Hopefully everybody's back on a normal time zone now. So, how is everybody? What have you been up to? Who went to salute at the weekend? Who bought lots of things that they never intended to buy but still came home with a bag full of stuff? Be good to know what you've been up to. So, let's have a look. Looks like all is good so far. So, we'll say hello to a few people in the chat. We've got Furious George was in there nice and early. I do have to say go, but actually Skull Munch was in really early on today, about probably 3 o'clock or something like that. So hello to Skull Munch when he gets here. Who else was in and around? I think there was somebody else was chatting as well. It may have been Flying Mammal. I can't remember now, but Furious George was in nice and early as well, trying to get the times right. So good evening, Furious George. Flying Mammal, keeping him right there, saying we're all time travelers. How very profound. Peter Nicholas was about to be the first one in, but no, sadly he wasn't, mate. But good evening anyway, Peter. Hope you're well, mate. Christian then snuck in just before 9 o'clock as well. Good evening, Christian. Peter Nicholas says, I'm thinking about getting you a nice whiskey. Thank you very much. Have one yourself. Thank you. Steve Evans says, good evening all. I just finished watching the latest episode of Curfew on Sky. Anybody else watching it? First of all, good evening, Steve Evans. Second of all, I don't have Sky, actually. So it's not like I don't own a TV or anything like that. We'll come on to that later. However, that probably leads us on quite nicely to tonight's topic. So tonight's topic, I was wondering what we should kind of discuss tonight. And after watching two of the I'd already seen one of them previously. I then watched the Two Towers at the weekend on Sunday. After watching that, the chat on Facebook group kind of lit up about having a chat about it and stuff. And I thought, there's lots of kind of geeky stuff and lots of things that we watch on TV, that we watch on the movies, the films, on Blu-ray or whatever it will be, or streaming them. We all kind of play tabletop games. A lot of us play video games, read comic books, do cosplay, all other manner of geeky stuff. So let's open it up tonight. We'll still chat about tabletop stuff. There's lots of tabletop stuff I want to chat about. But tonight's about kind of sharing your geeky stuff. What books do you read? Who's your favourite authors? What kind of TV shows are you watching at the minute? So there, Steve's just saying about you watching Curfew. I feel like I've heard of what it is, and I can't think how it was described to me. It's like something else, but I can't think what that is at the minute. So no doubt Steve will put us right there at some point. Claudio is in. Good evening, Claudio. He says, hi everyone, just halfway through last week's stream. We'll have to watch it later. Please do. It was a super long one. He says, glass of whiskey, few bases to be painted, and a full belly. Sounds like a nice evening ahead. It does sound like a nice evening, buddy. It does. Mark's in as well. Good evening, Mark. He said he's made it. Just finished another Batman game. Loving it. Now he's understanding traits and skills better. I feel like everybody's got theirs, and I'm still waiting for mine. Although tonight, about 5:30, I did get my email to say that the shipment started now. So I assume within the next week, I should have mine. And actually, somebody emailed me over the weekend called Graham, and I don't think I know who it was, but very kindly offered to let me have his Batman set, which had arrived in his moving house. Did I wanted to do an unboxing because it's just going into storage while he's moving, and I thought that was really kind. I'll be honest, I'm not entirely sure who it is. I know it was somebody called Graham, so if Graham's watching this, thank you very much, Graham. I did say I'm kind of stacked out this week, and I'm expecting mine any time. But the offer was fantastic, and it just kind of shows what an amazing little community we've got. Our little corner of YouTube is quite the friendly bunch. So thanks for that, Graham. Mark's saying hello to everybody. Patrick is in as well. Good evening, Patrick. Says good evening, everyone. Peter says, geez, that made me start. Sorry, buddy. Must turn his speakers down a bit. I have to turn everything off to kind of silent here so I don't get the 100 Andys, as Ruth would say. I have to turn it all down. So Rui's in as well. Good evening, Rui. How are you doing? Skullmunch says, good evening, Andy and the BlackJackers. Good evening to you. Mugwatch tonight. We've got Game of Thrones, House Stark. Winter is coming. So there you go. Not the Andy face mug that we were talking about earlier. We got Mark in there from Dice Tale, says, hello, weekly paint and grind. back on the grind, mate, eh? What are you painting tonight, Mark? Let me know. We've got Jason in, says, hello from Wisconsin. Good evening, Jason, or is it good afternoon for you? Good afternoon, good morning. I'm not really sure of the time zones, but welcome to the chat anyway. We've got Hendrik in, says, hello. Nice to see you, Hendrik. Wow, there's a lot of chat. I'm trying to catch up now. Where the hell are we now? Flyer Mama says, hashtag Andy's mug. Mark says, the only good salute is a double rimmer. It's a good job I got that reference, otherwise I might have blocked that for being a bit crude. Hendrik says, no salute. Did try it to go out with Michael on the new Walking Dead. I did see some pictures from Michael. Did you enjoy it, buddy? What's your thoughts on it at the minute? Steve Evans says, it's a car race with a twist. Don't really want to surprise. That was it. It was kind of mentioned to me, it was a bit like Death Race crossed with something else. And I can't remember what it was, but yeah, I'll try and catch up on that at some point. Whether I try and stream it online or something like that. We've got Luke in as well. Evening, buddy. Says he went to salute, came back with a hangover. Why does that not surprise me, mate? You went down the Friday as well, didn't you? Did you go out on the Friday night? We've got Craig in as well. Good evening, Craig. He says, how's it going? Apologies, I've missed a couple of weeks. Not to worry, mate. It's not compulsory. You don't have to come every week. It's just really nice that when people do drop in. Some people are kind of, we've got our regulars now, of which you're one of them. Some people are here every week. Some people are here every other week. Some people drop in for one live stream. It's just nice to have plenty of people here chatting. That's the main thing. We've got Tater Tot in. Says, evening, BlackJackers. He's pinning his plague feet. About to start building his Forge Fathers that he got from Adepticon. Make sure to get the exclusive zombie blade there and just bought Baba Yaga. Sounds like you've got plenty on your paint table, mate. Welcome to the chat again, Tater Tot. Fly Mama says she had a good weekend playing Lord of the Rings and not so great Monday, but your mug makes it better. There you go. Yeah, it's actually, I think it's Sam's mug actually. We won't even get onto we won't get onto Game of Thrones about how much of that I've seen, but yeah. We might actually get onto that, to be fair. Tater says he's got something from Spectre Miniatures. That must have been the Baba Yaga. Mark saying Curfew's great. We got VJ Morphin says, morning all, the tired Australians checking in. Morning VJ, hope you're well, buddy. Fomorian's in as well, says, cheers buddies, tonight it's all about nerdgasm. That's it, bit of everything really, bit of a mixture of stuff. Let's kind of find out about all the different geeky stuff that we all like watching and reading and what podcasts we're listening to. We're all kind of cut from the same cloth really when it comes to kind of nerdy stuff and geeky stuff. So let's share it. Let's find out about the podcasts that you listen to. Which audio books do you listen to? I've got an Audible subscription, and I listen to quite a lot of stuff on there. I tend to listen to stuff more than read stuff when I'm sort of driving 3 hours, 4 hours in the car. I listen to a lot of audio books. I find Audible great. Let's have a chat about what kind of stuff I've been listening to. Where we are. VJ says, at least you got something to look. I saw you bought some brushes as well, mate. Have you tried them out yet? Furious Joy says, looking forward to seeing your cosplay pics. I have never cosplayed in my life. I've never even been to a fancy dress party. I think I was having this chat with Flyer Mammal once. I've never, the closest I've got to dressing up was when I wore a leather jacket for the He's Negan playthrough. That was about it. Hendrik says he really likes Raymond E. Feast. I think his books are better than Tolkien's. Is that the one that you recommended to me in the Lord of the Rings list, was it? We've got Marco in. Good evening, Marco. He says, hey, buddy, sorting bills for tax return. Oh, rather you than me, buddy. Rather you than me. Claudio says, love the Umbrella Academy. Love Death and Robots on Netflix. Especially LD&R got me some ideas for tabletop gaming. I've started watching Umbrella Academy. I think I'm in through maybe 2 or 3 episodes or something like that. I need to catch up on that one. But yeah, it was quite interesting actually. I think I'd prefer to pick up the comics if I'm honest, I think, at this stage. We got Andy Smith in, says, how are pet man pet all reet. How are you doing, Andy Smith? Hope you're well, buddy. Patrick says, my geek again. Star Wars, H.P. Lovecraft, the shed load of fantasy and sci-fi novels, Evil Dead. Not sure if Baroque art and music counts. It all counts, mate. It doesn't matter what it is. If you enjoy it, we're talking about it tonight. Mark said he would have offered his, but he ripped into it. Don't blame you, mate. I wouldn't have been sharing mine with anybody, that's for sure. We've got Johnny Jambo Jambo in. Evening, Johnny. He said he's read all the Lord of the Rings as a kid. Now only reads Terry Pratchett, but loving the whiskey idea. Might just pour a Jameson. I feel a little bit a bit shortchanged now with my cup of coffee. Never mind. VJ has finally finished and varnished his Kill Team terrain last week. Feels good to get it done. Yeah, I bet it does, mate. I bet it does. Christian says he's finished the Talon Saga of books a few weeks back, reading the Infernal Devices at the moment. Infernal Devices, somebody's told me about that and said it was excellent. I might need to pick your brains about it, mate. I've still got three credits on Audible that I need to spend, actually, that I haven't picked anything up because I've still been listening to other bits and pieces. We've got Reluctant Artie in. Good evening, buddy. How you doing? He says, in high little corner of the internet, another in and out due to supper duty. Might be back later. Always nice to have you pop in and say hello, buddy. Thank you very much and enjoy supper. We got Stephen Tennyson in. Good evening, Tennyson. He says, how, even Tennyson? How impolite was that? Good evening, Stephen Tennyson. That's what I meant to say. He says, evening from Ireland. Just put the kids to bed. And he's now painting some underworlds before the wife notices I'm missing. Well, thank you for joining in the live chat, buddy. And it's nice to see you in here. Patrick said he was at Salute 12 years ago, but hasn't been there since. I'm thinking of visiting Figs in Arnhem and certainly Crisis in Antwerp. My video that I did a little while ago about why I'm not going to Salute anymore, it did all right when it came out. I think it got about 1,200, 1,500 views or something like that. Unsurprisingly, although I didn't plan this when I made the video, I should have known really as a kind of a byproduct of it. Because I made it before Salute, my video was like the only one with Salute 2019 in the title. So now everybody's searching for Salute videos, they're all coming across mine. So I've had a sudden burst of views over the weekend of everybody looking for Salute videos and then coming to mine. And it's quite interesting. It's had quite a few thumbs down, with people obviously not agreeing with the fact that I don't want to go back anymore. But I've had a lot of messages from people saying, yeah, completely agree with you. This year was even worse than last year. So I think there's a real mix of people. Some people really loved it. Some people have just kind of had enough of it, really. So if anybody has been to Salute this weekend, it would be good to hear your feelings. I know you were there, Luke. I don't know if you're still around in the chat, buddy. I don't know if anybody else was. Johnny says he's looking at his bookshelf of Judge Dredd and Rogue Trooper. Complete graphic novel series. Does that class as reading? If you had to read them to know what they were, then it's reading. Luke said he went out on Friday, ended up with a kebab and a dicky belly. That'll do it, mate. We got Tony in. Good evening, Mr. Spooky Thang. How are you doing, mate? We've got Tabletop Hub in as well. Evening, folks. Good evening, buddy. How are you? Craig says, cheers, man. On the paint table tonight is my Spitfire Mark 9s for Blood Red. You are in the Facebook group, aren't you? Blood Angels, I was going to call you. You are in the Facebook group, buddy. If you are, please stick some shots in. I like seeing some of them little planes from Blood Red Skies. We've got Bazza in. He says, howdy, good evening, Bazza. How you doing, mate? Rui says, I like to read the Star Wars novels. I've always quite fancied reading them, but never really knew where to start. Because it's like a bit of a completely different sort of, some of it's classed as canon, some of it's not, and I never really knew where to start with it. He likes a bit of Stephen King, H.P. Lovecraft, Batman comics. I'm with you on the Batman, mate. Gundam. He watches Arrow, X-Files, Stranger Things, Star Trek Discovery. The list goes on. Yeah, I think that's probably quite similar vein to most people, but I think tonight we'll discover some kind of hidden gems, I think. We got Tim Kelly and says, hey, Andy and the BlackJackers. Good evening, Tim Kelly. I think it was Tim, actually, that recommended... Is it We Are Bob that you recommended to me? I listened to that audiobook when I was on holiday last year. Thanks for that. Bazza says he's off to Warhammer World on Friday. His poor wallet. Yeah, I don't envy him. It'll certainly be empty when you get back. Patrick saying he forgot to mention The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead. I've never seen Fear the Walking Dead. I've watched the Walking Dead TV series, but for some bizarre reason, never ever watched Fear the Walking Dead. Mark said he's liking Line of Duty, Walking Dead tonight, Game of Thrones next week, going to try Dead Pixels and Curfew. Dead Pixel. I don't think I've heard of that one, mate. Let me know in the chat what that one's about. Peter says he's watching the original Star Wars, geeky or guilty pleasure. Ooh, it's a bit of both, I suppose. I mean, I'm a massive Star Wars fan, as I think most people probably have kind of cottoned on at some point. Where that's my Lord of the Rings, I suppose, is Star Wars, really. I watch them multiple times a year. I think I always go back and watch the original ones. Maybe not the prequels so much. Although, looking back on them now, there's still... there's bits I like now that I didn't like before. I think I've kind of gotten over them. But, yeah, I like them all, to be fair. Flying Mammal says, doesn't matter, thumbs down. It's all views. Yeah, I don't mind about getting thumbs down are good. I like getting thumbs down sometimes, because then at least I've provoked a conversation, or I've disagreed with somebody, right? And I don't do this to disagree with people, but I don't want to just kind of like sit in that middle fence and nobody's really interested in what I've got to say. Like, nobody either agrees or disagrees. It's just like trying to play it safe. I'd rather there was a good mix of kind of stuff. Like, some of the videos on my channel have had that, is like the Kill Team versus Necromunda videos, the AOS versus Warhammer Fantasy video do that. Why Star Wars Legion's going to be the best thing ever, or the power of hindsight. Those kind of videos, the one about Salute, they kind of they drive a bit of, a little bit of friction, if you like. And it's not like, I don't make them for clickbait. I don't make them to be argumentative. The one about sort of Warhammer kids books. But I like the fact that some people don't like what I've got to say. Really, it shows that I'm not just sitting on the fence and I'm trying to have an opinion, really. Let's have a look. VJ saying, hasn't had a whole lot of hobby time recently. He's been sorting all the details for his trip to Tabletop Minion Expo, and he set up a painted mini swap among the irregulars. Nice one, mate. You'll have to let us know. If you're keeping it a secret, fair enough, but I'd like one after the event. I'd like to see what the picture was, mate. Tabletop Hub says he's watching Kingdom on Netflix at the minute, as well as American Gods. Kingdom is interesting. Zombie show set in feudal Korea. Definitely not a run-of-the-mill show. That's quite interesting, actually. What was the one? American Gods. I started watching the first series. For some reason, kind of got out of it. But I saw there's a second series now. And I do like Neil Gaiman stuff. So I think I need to go back and start watching that first series again. We got Pete in as well. Good evening, Panzer. How are you doing, mate? Patrick said, oh, I'll just jump off the screen there. Patrick said he liked Salute. It's just the cost of going back and forth and the travel and hotel costs that puts him off. So what do you like about it, mate? What is it that draws you back? Because obviously it's a bit of a trip for you, isn't it? So what is it that you really kind of look forward to seeing there? Scorman says, on the paint table tonight is there Magor's Fiends from Underworlds. Did I say that right? Yeah. And painting for the top table game and painting competition. Yeah, I saw they got doing that with Tommy Sewell, aren't they? Nice little competition, that. Where are we at? Andy Smith says, finished his first Space Marines. Nice one from First Strike. He's done Angels. Nice one, fella. Pete said, what a weekend. I have done it, Salute. You had some amazing bits of silverware come your way, didn't you? For those that didn't see it, Pete was, and I hope I'm right in saying this, Pete, you were part of a team of people who put on like a demo game. The table looked amazing, and rightly so, won many awards. So yeah, congratulations to you and your teammates, I guess, or your terrain building friends. But yeah, it's really good to see. That's one thing that I sort of, I mean, you obviously go and have a great weekend, but there's a reason why you go there. It's not like I don't go to do that kind of stuff, so it's a very different experience for me. But yeah, it's really good to see all that hard work sort of being rewarded, mate. Yeah, well done. Really well done. Luke said, I like there's been a social hub, shall we call it, meeting people I've been chatting to, next meet up and hang out, but conventions for me are just shops full of stuff I've already seen. That's kind of where I am, mate. So the few years I've been, like last year I went, it was the first time I'd done a kind of like a BlackJack Legacy meetup. We kind of met up at a certain time, and there was a few people came along, and James Hewitt and his, I think it's his wife, Sophie. It might not be, actually, they might be just long-term partners. Anyway, James and Sophie came along as well. Mark, who's in the chat there tonight, I spent the day with Mark. We had a great day. And I really enjoyed the kind of just chatting and catching up and just wandering around. But I think Mark will kind of sort of almost testify to it. We just kind of wandered the hall a few times. Like, there wasn't an opportunity to really get in and demo stuff because there's just too many people there. And even the stalls are a little bit hard to actually get to and see what's on sale, because it's like a table the width of this, really. And you've got lots of people and they've all got their backpacks on and they've all got bags and they're carrying stuff. I just wish there was more to do. I love the social aspect to it, but like the amount of people that said to me, like, they got there for like sort of 10, 11 o'clock and they left by 2 o'clock. That's a long way to go for sort of like 3 or 4 hours. Luke said if it was 2 days, I'd like it more. I had time to play some games and hang out. That's exactly where I am, and that's why I love Aircon. It's why I love the Top Table Weekender, the Top Table Legacy Weekender. It's why I love UK Games Expo. There's time to, you don't feel rushed to get round things. There's time to hang out. There's time to grab a beer. There's time to get a bit of food. There's time to just kind of chat games and stuff, meet up with people. There's time to play stuff. There's time to do a bit of shopping. The problem with Salute is there's not enough there for it to last for 2 days. No wonder it's kind of over and done with by about 4 o'clock. Mark's saying the Channel 4 show written by creators of Peak Show, quirky comedy, people playing an MMORPG. I'll have to check that one out, mate. Patrick says, Fear the Walking Dead's not that bad. You see the whole apocalypse breaking out, which is interesting, a bit slower than The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead gets a bit slow in places, mate, to be honest, so I'm not sure if I'll invest in that one. Where did that just jump again? Where did that just jump to? Wow. Where on earth are we? Oh, that's it. Skull Munch. Umbrella Chronicles is awesome. So is the comic. Just finished Love, Death and Robots on Netflix, which was also awesome. Some better than others, but great series. I need to renew my Netflix, actually. I kind of go through phases where I'll have Netflix for a bit and then I bin it off when I feel like I've kind of watched everything I want to watch. And it's been a little while since I've kind of had that, really. Because I don't watch a lot of TV, to be fair. Me and my wife kind of will watch the odd thing together, but I don't tend to watch a lot of TV, which is kind of why I don't have Sky. That's one of the things I always kind of mentioned before. I don't have like a Sky subscription because I just don't watch a lot of TV, to be fair. We got Glenn Griffin in. Evening, Glenn. How are you doing, my friend? Luke said he lost 350 subs because of his Mantic Giant video. I bet you didn't lose it because of the video. I bet you lost it because of the thumbnail. For anyone that didn't see Luke's Mantic Giant video, definitely worth going to check that one out. Pete says, Luke, yeah, Salute should be over 2 days. RT is saying, I watch a lot of RPG streams on Twitch. Play D&D twice a week, once on Skype and once an hour and a half away with friends. Because of my RPG addiction, I want to read Patrick Rothfuss stuff. Not a name I know, mate, so I'll have to just kind of check one out. Even RPG stuff, I think I've mentioned this before, I've never done any RPG stuff. I'd love to get involved at some point, and I know I've mentioned this before, that Steve from Steve Small World tried to get me involved in his, but timing-wise, it didn't really work out for me. But yeah, at some point, I wouldn't mind doing like a one-shot thing or something. Mark's saying no way. Artie's saying something might be late. I hope nobody's starving waiting for you, mate. Tony's saying his road to Geek started when he was a teacher in a primary school. And so I thought you were a teacher then. A teacher in primary school read The Hobbit to us. Then moved on to Lord of the Rings, dabbled in D&D and Call of Cthulhu. My journey's been very much more sci-fi. Like, there's a lot of people say about that. Other than Hero Quest as a kid, pretty much I've kind of been sci-fi in the main, which is why Lord of the Rings kind of largely passed me by. Star Wars was definitely my entry into it's fantasy nonetheless, but sci-fi fantasy. Furious George is saying, if you like podcasts, give Limetown a go. Sci-fi with undertones of Project Mark Ultra stuff in there. I'll have to write that down. I'll have to go back in the chat and get all these recommendations out later on. Jason says, power watching the originals on Netflix, which is a Vampire Diaries spin-off. My wife was into Vampire Diaries stuff. I'm assuming she's watched that. Otherwise, grinding on Farming Simulator. Takes all sorts, mate. We haven't really touched on video games yet. I'm sure we'll get there at some point. Lucian, thumbnail anger. Dice Deals is saying Dragon Prince on Netflix, cute adventures cartoon. I think I saw one episode of that a little while ago. Tony said, I love how jumping into my geeky pleasures make the real world go away for a bit. I think that's one thing we do all really share, really, is that we kind of, for whatever reason, we kind of like, it's a bit of a switch off mechanism, really. You lose yourself in that world. That's why, I'm sure that's why we all play board games, why we all play tabletop games. It's just that escapism, really. Some people do it by listening to music. Some people do it by painting kind of like sort of portraits or like landscapes and things. Some people sort of colouring books. It's all escapism, really. I got into the hobby much later in life as a kind of a stress relief. I think I was sitting painting on a night time when everybody kind of went off to bed after I'd finished work. That was my kind of sort of my mental switch off, was sitting painting miniatures, really, and that was how it started for me. But yeah, geeky stuff wise, yeah, definitely. Where are we at? Well, we've just had a donation there as well. Thank you very much. I think that's VJ. This VJ. Thank you very much, VJ. Again, always appreciated, never expected. Thank you very much. Yeah, just pop up on the screen there. Kind of caught out of my eye. Where are we at? There's been a lot of chat tonight. I'm trying to keep up with this one. Jason, I was chatting to. I'll just have to keep dropping in and out the chat. I was chatting to Jason. We went for a few beers on Saturday night. And he was saying, I need to get somebody like a moderator in the chat to help me out. So, what do you think? Do you think we need a moderator now? Is that what we need? There it is on the chart. Where on earth are we? Yes, everyone's saying it's crazy. Yeah, I think what Luke's saying about his video was the video was awesome. He had a provocative thumbnail, which may have driven a few people to not be as happy about it. However, it wasn't like revealing or anything like that. It was just provocative. Some would call it clickbait, but it delivered on what it suggested. Flying Mammal says hashtag BlackJack painting challenge. It's about time. Actually, let me just talk about the BlackJack painting challenge. So this month, if people are not aware of it, if you're not a member of the Facebook group, first of all, please join the Facebook group. There's always a link in the description of every video. So down below, you'll see a link to it. If you go to the events section in the group, there is a monthly painting challenge. This month's challenge, every month you can just paint kind of like 5 models, a small unit, a bit of a warband or something like that, and you just got something you're working on. There's a bit of motivation. There's always a bit of a quirky challenge, and this month the challenge is a little bit of blood, sort of blood and guts, bit of blood splatter, a little bit of gore or something like that. But it's actually about time I painted something for my own challenge as well. And I have had kind of some feedback as well in the group that I need to do more about sort of showing off everyone's awesome work. So I do need to find a way to do that, and how the best way to do it so that it gets kind of shared with everybody. But yeah, leave that one with me. I'll find a way to do that. Patrick is saying, I think it's 200 plus miles from here to London. I love the fact that it's probably closer for you, buddy. I think it's closer for you than it is for me. Love the fact that there were new things on show and on sale, also traders that you don't see on the mainland. Yeah, I guess that might be a bit of a draw if it's not something that you can easily get your hands on locally. VJ says, can't understand watching RPG streams. I just cringe. It's like watching a stream of someone describing a third person playing a computer game. I've never watched one, if I'm honest, so I can't really kind of agree or disagree with you. Yeah, it's quite interesting. I guess the good ones are good, and they're more like a kind of like a storytelling adventure, I suppose. Christian says, Dan Abnett is a great author. I didn't realise until recently that Dan Abnett was so sort of big in comic books as well. He certainly got a credit in Avengers, was it Infinity War? I think it was Infinity War he got a credit for, or it might be Endgame, potentially. Anyway, he's done loads of stuff. I didn't realise he'd like kind of like created, he's had a lot to do with Guardians of the Galaxy. I didn't realise that. William King, Horus Heresy Novel's a good read. Umbrella Academy, The Order on Netflix. Avatar Last Airbender cartoon is amazing too. So for anybody that does like podcasts, there's a podcast I listen to called The Wizard and the Bruiser. And essentially it's two guys who, they pick a topic, one single kind of topic every week or every month, however often the podcast comes out, I forget now. And they really go in depth about the background of it. So for example, one episode they did was about Avatar The Last Airbender. And I didn't know anything about it, but they went right into the history of it, into the details, the background, the kind of the story behind the M. Night Shyamalan, when he made the Airbender movie, the Avatar movie. It's really, really interesting. And some of the topics they talk about, they talk about, I guess what we're talking about tonight. So they'll talk about authors, they'll talk about comic book characters, like there's a one about Wolverine. They'll talk about computer games. So there's like a history of like Super Mario Brothers or a history of Sonic. It's a really, really kind of geeky, cool podcast. So yeah, The Wizard and the Bruiser, worth checking out. Tim says, same year my aunt bought me some Spider-Man comics from the States. Love a comic, started there as well. Yeah, me as well, mate. We've got Kirill in. Good evening, Kirill. How are you doing? #1 member. He says, good evening, everyone in the chat. Andy, you met Gandalf himself this week. Your life has changed, no way back now. I'll be honest, Gandalf's one of the high spots from that. I watched The Two Towers on Sunday, and I think I mentioned in Facebook group, some of the special effects look a little bit janky these days, so watching those two hobbits sitting in the tree, just basically walking through the forest for like 3 hours, felt a little bit long. It was cool when all the tree people had the fight at the end, but just watching them walking through the forest felt like that could have completely been cut out for me. I'm assuming I'm probably kind of like really doing it a disservice. I'm sure in the books it might mean a lot more, but watching it in the film, it was like, yeah, I could quite easily cut past all these tree people stuff. Hendrik said he's watched The Walking Dead season 2 and lost interest. Yeah, I didn't get to the end actually. Flying Mammal saying hi, member to Kirill. Tabletop Hub says, Andy, have you plans to go to UK Games Expo? What's your thoughts on going there as opposed to Salute? So, yes, I am going. I am going for 3 days, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm potentially going down for the Thursday night as well. They have a special press night on the Thursday night where you get to go in and have a chat and speak to some of the people that are sort of displaying games, and it's a bit more relaxed really, so it's not quite as busy. But yeah, I'm going down. I've got my hotels already booked. I'm staying actually on the NEC kind of complex this time, so it means I can do a little bit of film and go back to the room and drop my camera and stuff off and then get back in, rather than trying to sort of cart everything around all day. As opposed to Salute, for me personally, it's an absolute no-brainer. I would go UK Games Expo every time, and the reasons for that is I think it's a nicer experience. It feels a little bit more polished and a bit more professional, much more like I imagine kind of UK, US expos are and conventions. There's a lot more to see. So there's a lot of demos of, there's a lot more to see. It's just physically bigger. There's a lot more to do. Every stall pretty much has demos on. There is people demoing like sort of games that they're trying to get some feedback on, like sort of really early prototype stuff. There's some new games released at UK Games Expo that you won't see anywhere else before that. All of the big companies, people like sort of Asmodee, have their massive big kind of their Fantasy Flight stands and all of the different sort of games that they do. Games Workshop are one of the major sponsors. Wild West Exodus are one of the major sponsors. There's a lot to do. Then there's the whole social side of things. So there's a massive area for open gaming with a board game library where you just, I think it's like £10 deposit, and you can just go in and out over the 3 days, borrowing games and taking them back, and then you get your money back at the end. There are seminars that are going on. So people like Shut Up and Sit Down, they'll do a seminar somewhere. GW do a seminar to announce some more kind of cool stuff. There's loads of kind of seminar stuff. There's music. There's kind of like, I think there's even like comedy acts and stuff this year. And then even during the evening, sort of when the expo closes later on, one of the hotels nearby has kind of 24-hour gaming as well. And that's not including all of the sort of organised player events as well. So it's a big thing for Fantasy Flight. They have all of their X-Wing and Armada and Star Wars Legion and all that kind of stuff there as well. There was a Shadespire Grand Clash there last year as well. it's huge, and it was predominantly board games. It's starting to get a lot more tabletop stuff in there as well, kind of miniature gaming and stuff. But for me personally, it's hands down. If I could only go to top table Legacy Weekender would be the only one I would go to. I could only go to one. We'll come back to that. If I could only go to one that wasn't my own event, I would go to UK Games Expo exclusively. Where we got Jason saying he's preparing for the local Keyforge tournament. Best of luck, buddy. Let me know how it goes. Reluctant RT is saying hello, green one. We got Carrie in as well. Evening, bud to you too. Skullmunch says, member, we're not worthy. So we were chatting about how this member thing works. So you'll see at the bottom of the chat, there is a little square box which has like a $sign in it. If you click that $sign, you'll get an option. Oh, you can't now. It said beforehand. When I checked it earlier on, it allowed you. So you can do a super chat, which is what VJ did earlier on there, which is a donation to the channel, a one-off donation. It gave me the option earlier on to be a member, which is basically, I think it's a monthly subscription, basically, and you get highlighted in the chat and stuff. So it was there earlier, but it's gone during the live chat. However, if you check out my channel on YouTube Gaming, you can definitely do it through there as well. Let's have a look. We've got, where are we going? Tim saying, Dan Abnett, pick up the first Horns Ghost book at the weekend. First and only. Nice one, mate. Pete saying, thanks, table was built by TM Terrains. The figures by Gringo40, but to me, it was an amazing time to talk with people. Yeah, I think it's like, you're certainly much, yeah, you've got like kind of a real social circle within gaming, I would say, who you get together and you play those games and stuff. I think that's pretty cool. I don't have that, but I wish I did. We've got Andy Smith is saying, just apply to join the Facebook group so I'll be able to share my, I'm sure they're not awful, mate. Let me just, let you into the group there then while we're sitting chatting here, and then we can get that one done. Andy Smith, approve. There you go, buddy. You should be in now. We've got Malkavian in. Good evening, Michael. How are you, mate? VJ says that we wishes there was more good cons in Austin. Sorry, too much win at all costs and social ineptitude. I bet I couldn't say that after a few whiskies. Carrie's saying just checked out the Dark Knight Rises Batman box. Looks very good. I've just checked it out as well, and I have to say, it's probably the best thing Night Models have ever done. I'm dead tempted, I'll be honest. I've just been watching the Batman movies over the weekend as well. Again, I was sitting there doing a few jobs around the house, and I kind of had them on in the background. And yeah, I watched Dark Knight Rises again at the weekend, and kind of forgot how good it was. Pete said he played his first game of Mortal Gods yesterday at Boards and Swords. I saw the pictures, mate. The table looked great. Went amazingly well. Loved the Greeks fighting together, and the game really gives the feel of the heroic. That's all you want, isn't it, mate? That's all you want. Mark says, all bow to member Kirill. Yes, welcome, member Kirill. Wow, the chat just jumped a lot there. Reluctant RT saying Red Dwarf, mate. I must have missed that somewhere. Carrie saying, is Luke here? I want to talk about making Batman miniatures game scenery. Luke was here earlier on. I think he might have dipped out now, but yeah, I'm sure that would be something he'd be quite interested in. I think a bit of a change of pace. Craig saying he's posted what he's got completed so far. Loving the Oval and just started Project Blue Book. Huge fan of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Looking forward to the TV series. And Andy says, for God's sake, don't do video games. Don't do video games. Do you mean don't talk about them? Do you mean don't play them? Or you don't do them? I've just getting to the bit in the chat where VJ donated as well. So again, thanks, awesome VJ. Thank you so much. Right, the chat is absolutely flying. I'll tell you what I'm going to do is, if anybody wants to speak directly to me, right, make sure you put at BlackJack Legacy and it'll highlight up, because there's way too much chat for me to keep on top of tonight, which is really good. That's what I want. I want a really kind of like lively chat tonight. But how are we doing anyway? Let's have a quick look. We've got a nice little bunch in there. Numbers are good again tonight. I'm liking these Monday night live chats. Let's see if we've got any new people joined in as well. I've just noticed a few new names here. So we've got Jackson as well, Shaggy Wargaming. Good evening, Jack. I was just been reading your blog tonight, mate, about your day 2 of Salute. Some very nice pictures in there. Flying Mammal's got a hand up. God, am I that far back behind the chat now? You're just putting your hand up for more. We need to chat then in that case. Let's sort that out. Let's have a look. Who else we got? Skullmunch has finished his challenge this month. Smug one. Tiberius is in. Good evening, Tiberius. How are you doing, mate? Not heard from you for a little. Oh yeah, you've had your Facebook ban, haven't you? I forgot about that. Who else we got in? I've just seen some more new names. We got Henry Mendez in. Good evening, Henry. How are you, my friend? Flying Mammal says, unsubbing, leave our ents alone. I'm assuming this is to do with the tree people. I don't know what they're called. It felt like a bit. It felt slow. Let's just put it that way. We got Marcus Hunting. Good evening, Marcus. How are you? He says, great news on the UK Expo. My fave event by far. Which games do you think would work well for a boot camp weekend? Good evening, Mr. Burtis, by the way. Good evening. Yeah, so for those that didn't see it in the Facebook group, Marcus mentioned about was there anything that kind of had like a boot camp weekend. So people might be familiar with Beasts of War. I've run these in the past where basically they do it like over like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, where everybody turns up at Beasts of War at their kind of gaming centre and it's dedicated to one particular game. So they've done like a bolt action one, they've done a Walking Dead one, I think they've done, I forget now, but they've done loads of these kind of event things where basically you turn up, you get given your kind of your starter army or whatever it is, you build them up on the Friday, you paint them on the Saturday, and you play games with them on the Sunday, and you have a real kind of hobby weekend. And Marcus was asking if there's any of those kind of out, and I said I've always fancied running one because Beast of War's over in Ireland, travel was always a bit of an issue really. I always kind of thought that was so. If the channel ever grows to a point where I've got like a little bit of reach and kind of people want to meet up, I would love to try and run one of those weekends at some point. So yeah, it's something I'll look into. I'm not sure if I've got kind of big enough reach yet to kind of get enough people together for that kind of stuff. But hey, who knows? But yeah, what kind of games? I think as we mentioned briefly in the chat, would need to be skirmish games, things where you've maybe only got kind of 10 models ish. And all the guys at Mantic seemed quite keen on it. So Clive Stone mentioned it was something Mantic could maybe do with a bit of notice. So we'll be talking about. So from a Mantic point of view, things like Dead Zone would work really well. Walking Dead would work really well. Dreadball would work great as well. Even Vanguard, really. I mean, with the amount of models that you've got in that. So any of those type of things would work well. From other side of things, Batman sounds like it could probably work quite well as like with these new starter sets that they've got. I think there's multiple options. So it'll be good to have a bit of a chat and try and get a bit of feedback from the groups. I think Marcus. Flying Mama says we need a BlackJack Legacy UK meet for everyone. Is there people up for that? I'm kind of, it's a bit weird. I always think, why would anybody want to kind of come and meet me really? Like, and if I say, hey, I'm going to be there, folks, come and meet me. You can get your photograph. It feels a little bit kind of a bit weird. So if people would like to meet up at the UK Games Expo, I am more than happy to meet up with anybody that wants to kind of like say hi and grab a coffee or grab a beer or anything like that. But if we want to have kind of like a one meetup where we can all get together, if people are up for that, that's awesome as well. Where are we at now? Dice Tales is saying we need a good XCOM tabletop. At least Wild West Exodus has cool grey units. Furious George says Alien or Aliens? Ooh, controversial, I guess. I think Alien is definitely the more horror film for me, and I really like Alien. However, I think Aliens, I think I prefer Ripley in Aliens. So I'm kind of torn if I'm honest. I'm a big horror film fan. So let's go with Alien. I will go with Alien, I think. Tim says, have you played any more Middle Earth since your last video? I did intend to play a game on Saturday. Jason and me and my wife and my little boy were staying at Jason's house on Saturday night. So the plan was we'd kind of go around about tea time. It was my nephew's birthday the next day as well. So we were kind of making a bit of a night of it. We'd get a takeaway in and few glasses of wine and stuff with like all of us together. And the plan was, I took my gaming table round, I took all my stuff. We were going to play that night. We went to the pub for a few beers. We walked back from the pub. We then had the Chinese takeaway turned up. By the time we finished that, it was about 10:30, and it was like, yeah, it's probably a bit late to be getting these toys out now. So we ended up, I think, we probably stayed at the pub a bit later than we planned to. So no, I've not played anymore yet, but I did plan to. It wasn't intentional. VJ saying he's posted his pic of his kill team terrain in the Facebook group. I will be interested in it. I need to see that. Christian says he needs to crack on with painting this month's project. Still working on another project. Plus, I have core space stuff to paint. Yeah, got your hands full at the minute, buddy, haven't you? You certainly have. Yeah, my core space video as well. I've kind of filmed half of it. I need to get the rest done, if I'm honest, and get it up there, because to be fair to them, they sent me it a little while ago. It's just been I've been wanting to make sure I kind of play it enough to form like a proper opinion, but I've kind of filmed some of the B-roll stuff. I just need to get it done, really. Skull Munch and Fomorian saying Vanguard would be good for a boot camp. Middle Earth battle companies would work well. I need to find out more about that, mate. Tony is saying, loved the rulebook video. A bad rulebook can kill a great game. They're getting better, but a long way to go for some companies. I really, really struggle with reading rules in general. And for me, it's quite, I mean, I had a brief chat with Sean about this, Skull Munch, and he's a big reader of books. I'm not so much. So I find, unless the rules are really streamlined and really easy to understand by reading them, the game almost gets pushed to the back of my pile a little bit. And I did mention one of the games I got sent. It was going on Kickstarter. The company contacted me. It was quite a well-known game. It was a game I'd heard of. It was based upon a computer game, and they asked me if I would like to have a review copy of it, like a preview, like a demo copy. They sent it out. The rules came by kind of email. They didn't really print out very well. They'd used some weird program to write them, so they weren't on separate pages. They were just on one long kind of just never-ending page that you just kept scrolling down. So when I tried to print them out, it went all the cock. And I tried 3 times to try and play that game, and it was just like, I give up on this one. It was a nightmare. So yeah, it's a big thing for me. I'm glad you enjoyed it though, Tony. Thank you very much. Christian says Walking Dead would be great for a boot camp, especially as it's scenery light. Would definitely be interested in a Vanguard one. And Flying Mammal says, yeah, I want to put faces to screen names, even if it's in the queue. Yeah, we definitely need to. Let's try and sort something out for UK Games Expo. We've got a little bit of time now, but yeah, that'll be nice. Steve saying Dead Zone boot camp for me. Dead Zone could be a good one as well. You don't need a lot of models for that. Craig saying he agrees about a meet up at boot camp. A meet up boot camp will be awesome. We got Joel in. Good evening, Joel. He says he's not asked about a photo. I didn't really mean PL1 photographs. I was being deliberately facetious there, mate. But have a beer. Seemed like a good lad. Thank you very much. And he said it's got to be Alien 2. Nice one. Got a few more people here just trying to join the Facebook group, so I'll let them in as well while we're chatting. Let's have a quick look. Flying Mama, Karate Kid or Back to the Future? Oh, that's actually quite a tough one, that. Because I do love them both. Let me just let these 2 people into the group. Confirm. There you go. Jason, you're in. Back to the Future, I would say. I do love the Back to the Future trilogy. Karate Kid. Love the first Karate Kid. Love the Cobra Kai TV series on YouTube as well. That was pretty good. But the later Karate Kids kind of took a little bit of a dip. I loved all of the Back to the Future films. So Back to the Future for me. And Halloween or Saw every time for me. I love the Saw films. And that probably says more about me than anything else. I love the Saw films. Me and my wife kind of had a proper marathon and sat through them all, like kind of over a few nights once. Going back before we had a little one, that's for sure. Yeah. Kirill says, since we talk about geeks today, any Tracy Hickman's Dragonlance fans in here? Well, I've not heard of that, Kirill. I need to find out more about that one. Furious George is saying no contest, Back to the Future. Joel Wrigley, have we just disagreed there? Karate Kid and Halloween. Wow. Mark says Karate Kid, but Back to the Future 2 and Halloween. How can you pick Karate Kid over Back to the Future? It's just iconic, that DeLorean. I'm surprised. Halloween wins on the score alone. See, Halloween's another one that I'm going to say I felt like it went too far, but we did get about 7 or 8 Saw films, to be fair. Joel says, Back to the Future is clearly a better film than Karate Kid, but I have a soft spot for kicking people in the face. I'm not sure I want to meet you for a beer now, mate. Furious George says, off topic, but what's your tattoo of under your arm? Right, mate, so I've got, obviously, this one goes, it goes right up over the top there, so that one goes all the way around. And that one there, let me see if I can get it on camera. Oh, I can't twist my arm round. It's geographic coordinates and a date. I'll take a picture and I'll put it in the Facebook group. But it is, it's basically like the kind of geographic coordinates. If you plug them into a map system, it's the place where me and my wife got married, and it's got the date of our wedding on it. So yeah, it was just something I designed myself. I quite liked it. Everyone's saying Cobra Kai Season 2 is looking great. Yes. It does look good. I like the way it ended. It kind of built up quite well for that. Where else we at? We got Darren Whitehouse in. Good evening, Darren. This is Hail and Well Met. I watch Harsh Rules on YouTube for rules explanations. The fact that these kind of places, these websites have to be there, just shows that rules are a struggle. We got Paulos in. It says, hello all, hope you're well. Good evening, Paulos. VJ saying he loves some Dragonlance there now as well. There's a bit of chat here for Teenage Mutant Turtles. VJ says he can't do the whole torture porn genre. Yeah, I quite like it, buddy. It's kind of weird, I suppose, but I do like. I don't know what. I couldn't really put my finger on what it was. I kind of quite like. I think it's because I really like kind of the horror genre. And I like the older horror films, the kind of the proper scares and the jump scares and stuff. And then we went through a period where horror films were awful. And then like they weren't scary. They weren't like, even like Scream. The Scream films weren't like, it was something different, but it wasn't like horror, like the old horrors used to be from the kind of 70s and 80s. And for me, Saw was kind of that new generation, really. We did have things like Hostel and stuff, which were really like Eli Roth films. They were quite extreme. But for me, Saw was just, there was an element of it kind of being like a real kind of fear of it, and it's kind of almost grounded in something that could be reality, really, rather than the kind of, well, I did like the kind of Nightmare on Elm Street stuff as well, but yeah, there was a big slug of really poor horror films for quite a while, and for me, Saw kind of reinvigorated it again. Where are we at? Who else we got in? Jack saying, talking about the future, did you see the boarded salute? It was awesome. I did see your video of it, mate. It did look great. Did it even have the DeLorean with like the flames kind of coming out the back with LED lights? That looked amazing. We've got Examples DM says, nice sleeve. Thank you very much, mate. I always planned to get the whole thing done, but I've got a bit of a kind of how can I put it? I've got to be quite serious in my job, quite kind of senior and stuff. And I tend to roll my kind of shirt sleeves up when it gets a bit warm in the office. And I didn't feel appropriate to kind of have a full sleeve tattoo, but so I just kind of, I did that. I've got like another one that's kind of similar here as well. So if I didn't have the job I had, I'd have a lot more tattoos, I think. So who knows if this YouTube channel ever takes off and I get the chance to leave my current job and do this full time, maybe I'll get some more tattoos. Maybe I won't be able to afford them by then. Joel says he'll restrain his face kicking at UK Games Expo. Johnny says a workmate of his came into work in tears a year ago. He said someone had died. We felt bad until he said it was a dragon rider from Dragonlance. Some people take this quite personally, don't they? Kirill says the Patrick Turtle Power. I remember kind of getting into Turtles as the comic books, the old black and white kind of sketched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles back in the day when I was into my comics quite seriously. But long before it ever became kind of like a cheesy cartoon for kids and stuff. And I don't know whether this is the same everywhere, but in the UK, the UK powers that be deemed Ninja to be too violent for children. So we had ours were called Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles for quite some time. That's changed now. They're Ninja Turtles again now. But they were a lot more kind of fluffy in that Saturday morning kind of kids cartoon that led to the toys and stuff. But I always remember the original Kevin Eastman comics, and yeah, they were awesome. Tiberius says, I can't get past Luke Danes from Gilmore Girls being in Saw. I don't know what, I've never seen Gilmore Girls, mate, so I've no idea which one that is. Andy said Saw 1 was good, didn't like the rest. I grew up on Freddy and Pinhead. Yeah, me too, mate. I watched, what was it called? American Werewolf in London. I watched that when I was quite young, and that gave me nightmares for quite some time. As a kid, actually, as a young kid, I was really kind of scared of masks. So Halloween, I hated Halloween because I just had this kind of fear of masks as a kid. I remember being in Cub Scouts and going to the Cub Scouts on a Thursday night. It's weird, the things that are kind of quite vivid in your memory when you look back. Going to Cub Scouts on a Thursday night, and it was a Halloween party, and there was masks all over the walls. And I remember just completely losing it and kind of like running out, and my mum having to take me home and stuff. So it's weird. I was never really into that kind of stuff when I was younger. But then as I started I remember watching Raiders of the Lost Ark for the first time as a kid, and the bit near the end where the guy's face melts, it was absolutely traumatized. So I was never into kind of scary stuff when I was younger. But then as I got older, I kind of really kind of got into it, and I loved it. Weird, isn't it, how things change? VJ says, Nightmare on Elm Street, now we're talking. What did people think of the remake? So I forget who was in it. The guy that played Freddy in it, but he played a really good part. Did people like the remake? Nobody really talks about that these days. And the fact that the Freddy stuff went a bit crazy with Freddy versus Jason by the end and stuff, it was a real shame because the original Nightmare on Elm Street was a real scary, creepy horror. Joel says he liked the first Saw film, but after the 19th one, where it was that scene with Red Rum being whipped, I'd had enough. It did go a little bit off track. I liked the way, I mean, it did become kind of a Halloween cash grab kind of thing as they went on, but I liked the way they managed to almost like to bring the story full circle on itself, really, in that for all they kind of went off on their own little tracks. I liked the last one, how it brought it all together, and I thought that was quite clever, actually. Where are we at? Patrick's in the Underworld series, not that much of a plot line, but we got Kate Beckinsale in tight leather suit. You're right, mate. We did. I quite like that kind of vampires versus werewolves idea, but you're right. It was never as good as it should have been. I'm surprised there was so many of them, other than because of how she was dressed, I guess. Paulo said he used to like the Omen films, especially the first one. Things like the Omen, the Exorcist, those kind of things. The music was so creepy. Same with I can't even think now, but kind of the horrors like Rosemary's Baby and those kind of like 70s, 80s horrors. The music was everything. Speaking of 80s horror, anyone else back in Search of Darkness? 80s horror documentary on Kickstarter. I've not even heard of it, mate. I probably would have done actually if I'd heard of it. That'd be quite interesting to find out more about that. Furious George is saying best zombie film. It's a bit of a toss-up for me. It's either 28 Days Later or probably Dawn of the Dead, but the remake, the newer version. I really like the newer version. There again, I quite like Zombieland as well. Zombieland more of a kind of comedy though, but from a kind of horror thing. 28 Days Later with the kind of fast zombies really kind of changed the things. Tony is saying his mum got him into horror at an early age. Not many kids get their parents called into school for doing a book report on Dennis Wheatley's To the Devil Adored Her. I can imagine that, mate. I remember my dad reading The Rats when I was a kid. Is it James Herbert? And I remember like wanting to read that when he'd finished it, and he was like, "No, you're not reading it. You're too young." But yeah, I read it years later, and he was probably right. It was creepy. Patrick's saying, at least we forget Doctor Who. Jodie Whittaker's doing a great job. Another one of my confessions after the Lord of the Rings. I've never seen an episode of Doctor Who. So obviously I'm aware of kind of it as culture, and I could name you loads of different Doctors just because they're kind of they're famous, if you like. But yeah, I've never watched an episode of Doctor Who. Oh, plenty of chat tonight. Where are we at? VJ said he's waiting on 20 Kickstarters currently. I think he might have a problem. I think you might, mate. I was waiting on 3, I think it was, at once. One of them's delivered now, but yeah, I don't think I'll be that stressed with 20. Joel said, "Oh, Steve's just saying there. To be honest, doesn't like horror, superheroes, or comics." Wow, Steve, this is your kind of confession time now, mate. So what do you like then? Because that's quite a wide range of stuff. So what do you like? Joel saying, talking to ninjas and horror films, I'm a fan of the Japanese originals of The Ring, The Grudge, and Dark Water. Yeah, I quite like the original kind of Japanese stuff. Things like Audition is an amazing Japanese horror. Some of the Korean stuff, things like Old Boy, really, really cool stuff. They always end up getting an American remake, but the Japanese ones, if you can kind of watch a film with subtitles, creepy as hell they are. Kirill says, Doctor Who is really strange film. Want to like it and understand, but can't for now. Yeah, I've not seen it, buddy. Malkavian said he loves the Japanese horror as well, like the Grudge and the Ring series. Something's just really, really creepy, isn't there, about kind of some kind of long-haired Japanese girl just kind of creeping around. Tony saying, Dog Soldiers, awesome werewolf movie. I do like Dog Soldiers, you're right. British horror is always a little bit weird though, isn't it? It feels quite raw, doesn't it? What do you think about kind of the like the Dario Argento, like the Italian stuff, like Suspiria and Demons and that kind of stuff? Thank you for the link, by the way, VJ. Thanks. Train to Busan. I don't think I know that one, Tim. I don't think I've seen that one, mate. Andy Smith says werewolves rock. They certainly do. VJ says the Gary Gygax documentary on Kickstarter is shaping up well as well. That'll be cool to see that get funded then. Patrick is saying the Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. Shaun of the Dead is brilliant. Yes, I'm a big fan of Shaun of the Dead. I've not seen the Scout's Guide to Zombie Apocalypse. Tiberius said he's never seen Mad Max. There you go. See, not just me hasn't seen random films. Christian's saying Cockneys versus Zombies. Do you know what? I think I've seen that and it was really good. There's a Strippers versus Zombies as well, and that was actually really good, believe it or not. Kirill is saying Sean's awesome. It certainly is. Where we got Peter Nicholas. Enjoyed the Resident Evil series, which I only saw last November. They kind of got dragged out as well a little bit, but there is some great moments in them. Good evening, Dave McKay. How are you doing, buddy? Said Cargo is pretty good zombie film, not your standard hordes of zombies. I've not heard of that one, mate, so that's something I'll have to check out. Where are you going? Joel says not seen Audition, but recently got it on DVD. Bump it to the top of the list. It is quite shocking, mate. It's quite disturbing. So yeah, make sure you watch it. So Steve said he's into fantasy, sci-fi, and war films. Right. So I guess. So if it's sci-fi and kind of crossover with comic books, I guess that's a bit of a no-no. What if you had to pick one film from each of those three genres, Steve? Which ones would you go for? So a fantasy film, a sci-fi film, and a war film. Dice Tale saying Clash of the Titans probably the reason I like animation and modelling. Yeah, the old Harryhausen? Is that the right name? I think it is. Certainly something similar to that, if not. Yeah, his sort of what they call stop animation. Yeah, amazing for its time as well. For Maureen said you like Event Horizon and Sphere 2. Two awesome films there, buddy. Dog Soldiers is getting a mention from Andy there as well. Jack says, anyone seen the trailer for Dead Don't Die? A new zombie comedy with Bill Murray. Yes, I have seen it. It's also got, and I forget his name now, but the guy that plays, he's in Star Wars. The name's just escaped my mind. How bad's that? The bad guy in the new Star Wars films. My mind's gone blank now. Yeah, it's him. VJ saying that Tony can do a Kickstarter rehab together. Yeah, it's not a meetup we need. It's a group. It's a group session. Tony saying he loves the Dario Argento movies. There's a remake of Suspiria out soon. Oh, I'll have to watch for that, mate. Flying Mama says, please tell me you've all watched Toy Story. Toy Story is awesome, but here's a completely different track then. Best Disney film ever. Because mine is a bit of a toss-up between I love Aladdin and I love Cars. Randomly, those are my two favourite Disney movies. Completely. So on one hand, I'm a big fan of the Soul movies. On the other hand, love Lightning McQueen. Joel is saying, comedy horror film on Amazon Prime at the moment is What We Do in the Shadows. Brilliant. I've seen that, but never kind of picked up on it, mate. I'll have to have a look for that one. Paul also saying, the original Nosferatu silent black and white film from the 20s was amazing. Someone did a war game of it with the whole table painted black and white sepia. That sounds amazing. Got Nick Yelland in. Evening, buddy. How are you doing? Cabin in the Woods is an awesome film. And it's even better if you go into it not knowing kind of what it's about. Because it's the weirdest kind of horror film. But definitely worth a watch. But don't try and kind of like read what it's about before you see it. Feature saying, does Kickstarter count as a hobby? It certainly does. Tim Kelly saying, Andy, Train to Busan is basically a zombie outbreak on a speeding train. It's like The Raid, but on a train with zombies. I'll have to watch out for that, mate. It sounds pretty cool. Peter Nicholas is trying to deny that he's never watched Toy Story there. VJ, yes, Kickstarter can count as a hobby, I suppose. Certainly expensive enough. Adam Driver, that's the name, Kylo Ren. My brain's not working tonight. Patrick is saying, like more stuff from Peg and Frost, Speed, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End. Hot Fuzz is one of the funniest, most underrated films ever. Yeah, everybody's screaming Adam Driver at me now. Thank you for that. Skull Munching loves Willow. Also have a Willow board game. I didn't know there was a Willow board game, mate. Paulos is saying about Blade Runner. Good choice, Blade Runner. Fantasy, Willow, and War a Bridge Too Far. Interesting. Skull Munching saying Finding Nemo, hands down. It's too sad, man. It's too sad. Christian saying Hercules. That's an interesting choice. Carrie's coming in with a bit of a left fielder there. Pirates of the Caribbean. I do love Pirates of the Caribbean. The first one is kind of one of my top 5 films ever, I think. But yeah, it's funny I don't consider it as a Disney movie, even though it is. This is where we find the truth out now. We've really split the crowd here with a bit of the Aristocats, Pirates of the Caribbean, Monsters Inc., Emperor's New Groove. I can't believe there's such a mix. Wow. Jack saying, what about Phantasm? Phantasm was awesome films. Tony coming in with Escape from Witch Mountain. Wow, we really have split the crowd now, haven't we? Flying Mama says, Cars is Pixar, so you can have both as faves, and Aladdin's the best Disney movie ever. Toy Story is fave Pixar. I love Aladdin. It's kind of, I don't know what it is, it's just got a really kind of like good memories for me as a kid. I remember having the game on Mega Drive as well and absolutely playing it to death. But even now, I love to go back and watch Aladdin. Steve Evans says, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. Still got to watch that yet, mate, so it might yet come into my top box yet. Blade Runner. Now, this is really hard. A group loving The Longest Day. Interesting. Blade Runner is whilst it's an awesome film, I'm surprised it's your favourite sci-fi one. Because mine, even though I love Star Wars to a fault and I can forgive them a lot of errors and a lot of missteps because I just love the world around it, I would say the Fourth Element, sorry, a Fifth Element even, I get my words right. The Fifth Element is probably my favourite sci-fi film. Flying Mammal, Emperor's New Groove. Wow. I see your Toy Story and Raise You Shrek and 2 and 3. Shrek. Oh, Shrek's not as good as Toy Story. Come on, it can't be. Joel saying, Hot Fuzz is class. I have a friend who didn't like it. I nearly disowned him. I've got a friend who lives in the village where it was filmed. That's what makes it even better for me. I kind of like, I went on holiday with him a couple of years ago with a big group of lads, and we were like sort of talking about it, and he was on about like all the kind of like local people who were in the film and stuff. Incredibles is a good show, Patrick. Forget about that one as well. Andy shouting, why's the rum gone? That's what I need. I need a little big bottle of Kraken here now. VJ saying, pocket size Age of Civilization card game and Artist Opus Series D dry brushes. Another 2 excellent Kickstarters. The Series D dry brushes are awesome. I've had the pleasure of seeing them firsthand. Worst Disney movie, Last Jedi. I don't mind Last Jedi, I'll be honest. For Morian saying Conan the Barbarian and Red Sonja. That takes me back a bit now. Like Red Sonja. Wow. Yeah. Fuse George is saying 101 Dalmatians. So good The Simpsons did an entire episode ripping it off. I still like Cars. Honestly, there's just something about Cars. It is a really good, just feel-good movie. Like, I just like it. I even watched Cars 3 not that long ago with my little lad as well. We two of us sat and watched it together. Peter said he's still waiting for the free wine. It's just coming up to room temperature, mate. That's what it is. I'm just letting it out. VJ saying the extended Lord of the Rings movie are annual watches for me. Even went to a bunch of the filming locations last time you were in New Zealand. I'm not sure. We had this kind of chat briefly on Facebook yesterday. I'm not sure I could sit through the extended versions. I know everyone keeps telling me that I missed loads of story, but I guess I don't have that many unanswered questions that I would need more story, I think. Yeah, Kirill is saying it for Morian, it's so old school. Jack saying Fifth Element is classic. I saw it for £1 in '97. There's just something about the Fifth Element. I just love that kind of, that very Luc Besson kind of really colourful, almost comedic without being comedy, like just almost so false in places. I just really love it. Shrek's overrated. Oh, we got Nick saying favourite film visually is Sin City. That is it's an unbelievably good looking film. I would completely agree with that. Jason saying Hunt for Red October. All time favourite movie. I joined the US Navy instead of the Air Force because of that movie. I almost, when I was younger, and I actually got papers to sign up and then changed my mind. I almost joined the Navy on the back of Top Gun. It was a good recruitment tool. I wanted to be a pilot in the Navy. There you go. But yeah, I'm glad I came to my senses. Tiberius is saying the Cars game on the Nintendo Wii is excellent. Flying Marvel says burn Cars 2. Yes, I do not need to see Finn McMissile ever again. Cars 2 never happened. I completely agree with that. Jack saying no one said Terminator or Terminator 2. Awesome films, but I don't know if they're kind of up there with the best, but it's because there's so many good ones, isn't there? Andy's saying Madagascar 2, the plane scene, so funny. Definitely. Carrie says, "Gear bud, I got to run. Great chat. Thank you for coming in, Carrie. Much appreciated." VJ says the standard cuts are like a cake. The extended cuts are like a cake with lots of frosting. Yeah. Have you seen the size of me, mate? I don't need extra frosting. Yeah, somebody's saying I don't think Predator's been mentioned. Joel says, I jumped from the waterfall into Gollum's pool when I was in New Zealand last October. That was exciting. That sounds pretty cool, actually. That sounds pretty cool. That's a reason I want to watch the films again, isn't it? Joel saying Hunt for Red October is a classic. Peter saying Predator was a classic. Jack says, right, fave Arnie movie. Oh, now this one is my favourite Schwarzenegger movie. Which one would I watch if I could only watch one? Oh, it's quite a tough one. I really like True Lies, which I thought was a kind of an underrated Arnie movie. But which one's my favourite? I'd probably go Commando, I think. That's kind of like my 80s kind of action hero stuff. Twins, everyone's saying twins. Kindergarten Cop's getting a bit of a vote there as well. Tiberius says when Shrek turns human, he looked like Gordon Brown. Yeah, the Terminator ones, it's sad really. They did kind of go off the rails a bit. And I guess in a way how everybody's complaining about, oh, I forget his name now. My brain's puddled tonight. The guy that was in the Hellboy movies. Forget his name now. Anyway, how everyone's complaining about how he's not in the new Hellboy movie. The Terminator films were a bit like that. But Arnold Schwarzenegger should never have come back. He was way too kind of past his prime to be coming back and doing them again. Oh, Total Recall. Forgot about that. That was a good shout. But yeah, Commando hands down. Running Man. Running Man was an awesome film. I love that. I watched it not that long ago. And actually, it hasn't aged too badly. Yeah, people saying True Lies. Yeah. Batman, I've been on a bit of a Batman kick recently, watching all the old Batman films and stuff. I even went back and watched Batman Returns with Michelle Pfeiffer and Danny DeVito in. I forgot how good that was. Ron Perlman, thank you very much. My brain is not working tonight. Speaking of Ron Perlman, who's watched Hand of God on Amazon? That was a pretty decent series. I enjoyed that as well. Terminator and Conan the Barbarian, probably his favourites. Yeah, there's a good mix there, isn't it? How are we doing for time? Right, we've got about 15 minutes of the normal kind of chat left. What I do want to mention while I'm on as well, because I've had a couple of messages the last few days. So, Top Table Legacy Weekender. There's some people that's in the chat here who were at the last one, and hopefully they will back me up and say what a fantastic weekend it was. We have now confirmed the date for Top Table Legacy Weekender 2. The date of it is the 11th to the 13th of October. The reason we haven't announced more yet is because Steve and Jay and I need to get together and nail down the kind of the details about what we're going to have. We've got a meeting planned for tomorrow night, where like work schedules and stuff meant we haven't actually getting together. We've been having a chat on kind of on Messenger and stuff, but we want to have a proper Skype call. So we haven't announced any more details about it yet because they're not kind of nailed down. However, the date and the location is nailed down. So it is Friday the 11th of October through to Sunday the 13th of October. It's at Element Games again in Stockport. So anybody that does want to buy tickets, or we're going to limit the amount of tickets this time. So we planned last time. We thought we'd limit it to about 80 or 90 last time. We got about 60 people in the room this time, and now we've seen it in full swing. We're going to limit the tickets to 80 tickets this time, because we want to make sure that it'd be nice to get a few more people there, but we don't want to make it uncomfortable for people. We want plenty of space to get around. We want plenty of spare tables for people to be able to play on. So the reason we want to announce more details later is we want to we want to make things a bit slicker. We want the kind of the build up to it to be better. We want the communication around it to be better. We want the events organised in more time, that kind of stuff. So this is what our meeting tomorrow is about. However, the date's fixed. It's definitely happening 11th, the 13th of October, 2019. So yeah, watch out for that one. Christian's just saying yes to the Top Table Legacy Weekender. We'll be there again in October. Yeah, and I think what I'll do is as well, I'll not mention it now because I've not chatted to Jay and Steve about it, but they'll, yeah, I don't want to say too much because we haven't chatted about it yet. So what have we talked? We've talked about TV shows, we've talked about movies, we've talked a little bit about books. Is there anybody kind of into their audiobooks? Anybody listen to Audible? Do they prefer to read books? Do you use a Kindle, or do you buy proper books still? Is Kindle kind of like, has it kind of died a little bit? Do people still kind of use Kindles so much these days? Is everybody just on their iPads and stuff? Claudio's saying, well, if my wallet and flights allow it, I'd love to get there and take a game with all you guys and gals. That would be awesome, Claudio. Let's see if our Brexit plans get the flights back going, eh? Flying Mama says Xena was a good TV show in a day. I never saw Xena, actually. I mean, I was aware of it, Xena and Hercules, but no, I never watched them. Again, as I mentioned before, really, fantasy was never really my thing. I've never really even played fantasy games other than Vanguard. Like, Vanguard's the first game that's really got me to, like, look at fantasy stuff, really. However, I've definitely had my eyes opened by playing that. I think I I always feel like the magic side of the game is just like another complication that I don't need. I'm just reading Joel's joke there. I'm not going to read it out loud on the live stream, but it's a good joke. Dave McKay says a proper book wins hands down. There's something about having a proper book, isn't there? Something about physically holding it in your hand. It's like rule books. I struggle. So when you can get a free download, like a free PDF, I end up trying to print them off, because there's something about trying to read it or like on a laptop or read it on a tablet versus physically having the book in my hand. I don't know what it is. I prefer the actual book. Where are we at? Malkavian said he still buys books and uses a Kindle. Yeah, my wife's like that as well. She's got her Kindle, but still buys books as well. VJ says, okay, scientists, pull your socks up. 6 months to invent a Star Trek transporter so I can get a top table weekender. Yes, I'll see what I can do, mate. Furious George says, tell us your video game console history. Right, my history of consoles. So my kind of gaming started way back when I was a kid. My dad got, it was called a Binatone. Some people around my age in the UK might remember this. But it was essentially, it was a box that you plugged into your TV. It had like tennis on it, which was just 2 bats moving up and down, hitting the ball backwards and forwards. It had football on it, which was 4 bats moving up and down, hitting the ball backwards and forwards. It had squash, which was 2 bats hitting the ball against the wall. But it also had a light gun as well, where you could shoot the moving target on the screen. So I remember playing that when I was probably quite young. From there, the first kind of sort of machine I had for myself, I had a Spectrum. Sinclair Spectrum was my first kind of game. I remember as a kid, my parents didn't have much money, so a lot of my friends had Commodore 64s. They were kind of like the cool kids, and I had a Spectrum because the machine was a bit cheaper and the games were a bit cheaper. We didn't have much money when I was a kid, and then from there, obviously I remember kind of copying everybody's cassette tapes with a double cassette recorder, with pressing play on one and record on the other one. Not buying the cheap tapes because the cheap tapes didn't work very well. Then as I got a little bit older, I remember this is weird. Kind of thinking back now. Some of my friends I kind of lived in like a small mining town. Really, like everyone's parents or everyone's dad pretty much worked down the coal mine. And there was a kind of big period of time where the mines were getting closed down. A lot of the miners were getting paid off redundancy and stuff. And like a load of my mates that all got like Amigas with their dad's redundancy monies, but I didn't. I actually ended up winning a Sega Master System from a competition on the back of a packet of Rice Krispies. And that was, I was in my last year at school, and I won a Sega Master System which had Alex Kidd built into it, and that kind of sent me down the path of console gaming. So from there, I ended up buying a Mega Drive. I then bought a Mega CD, which was the big kind of like chunky sort of CD thing with Night Trap on the game as well. I went down Mega CD. I never bought into Nintendo. In fact, I don't even think any of my friends had Nintendos at the time. We were all kind of Sega guys. And then from there, when I was an apprentice at the time, and I remember paying £400 for a Sony PlayStation. I've got a PlayStation 1. I remember queuing for it as well, getting it on launch day. And then I then got PlayStation 2. I bought an Xbox. I bought Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Xbox One. So I've kind of always, I've never, another confession, I've never owned a Nintendo. So I've never had a Nintendo console, ever. I've only ever had Sega's and Xbox. These days, Sega's, Xbox and PlayStations. I kind of play PlayStation. When I do play, I play PlayStation more now, but I do have a PlayStation and an Xbox. But yeah, I remember playing kind of my old Sega games, Daley Thompson's Decathlon, and kind of snapping a load of joysticks, playing those kind of games, track and field and stuff. Flying Marble says tennis was amazing. Steve said he doesn't play video games ever. Wowzers. That's probably quite unusual even these days, mate, now, isn't it? Tiberius said he loved me a specky rubber keyboards. Yeah. The one I ended up I had the Spectrum Plus 2, which was the one that was built by Amstrad that had the cassette recorder or the cassette player built into the unit as well. And it's still at my dad's house somewhere. It's in a box in the loft with like about 200 cassettes. God knows if it still works. Fomorian says he uses the Kindle Android app because you can pull out your smartphone and read everywhere. It's more handy than a real book or a separate Kindle platform. That's definitely it if it's the accessibility of it. VJ was the Commodore 64 for life. Malkavian was a Spectrum for the win, proper keyboard, micro drive and tin foil printer. Kirill is saying Kindle. No, nothing about that. Kindle is essentially, it's an electronic book. A bit like a tablet really, but you can only read books on it. Looks like there was a real mix between their Commodores and Spectrums. Tony saying Night Trap was hilarious. Paula said he gave up playing them when FIFA Rage set in. Joel saying Master System. You've gone well, posh. Do you know what it is? It's all to do with the accent. To me, Master sounds like doesn't sound posh at all. It's when people say like Master. Master sounds posh to me. It's like when you say scone and scones. Like I say scone, but other people say scones, and I always think scones sounds posh and scones sounds a bit common, but other people see it the other way around. It's just the accent, mate. That's all it is. Tiberius is saying he's got a new ZX Spectrum. I remember seeing the pictures in that one, buddy. Joel saying Mario Kart. I have played Mario Kart, I'll be honest. I have played it. But I've never played a Zelda game. And I don't really think I've ever played like a proper Mario Brothers game either. Just Mario Kart, I think. I've had to go like on somebody's Nintendo Wii and stuff. But yeah, I've never owned one. Peter Nicholas saying Mega Drive still plays Sonic, yes. Skullmunch saying Mega Drive was amazing. I loved my Mega Drive. It really kind of opened me up to console gaming. I remember at the time I worked in a sports shop on a Saturday. It was like my Saturday job as a kid. And I worked 8 hours on a Saturday and I got paid £2 an hour. So I got paid 16 quid for a day. And every month when I got paid, there was a computer game shop over the road from the sports shop I worked in. And I'd go and spend 40 quid on a Mega Drive cartridge. So before I'd even, I had to work 2 weeks. I had to work more than 2 weeks to get a game. But yeah, it was happy days there. And Claudio's saying that's why you get so much stuff done. Kirill's saying Nintendo is very popular in Russia. Is it really, buddy? That's quite interesting. I would have thought with the kind of the Japan, I suppose the American thing with Sega as well, isn't it? And I suppose Sega's still Japanese, but yeah, I'm surprised it's Nintendo if I'm honest. Claudio saying he's been a PC gamer since 2002. I only really got into PC gaming much later, probably about 5 years ago maybe. I got into PC gaming when I just wanted to do something a bit different really. But I still don't play very often PC. Christian saying ZX Spectrum was his first gaming machine. Road Rash on the Mega Drive, yes. Still remembers the cheat codes. And Skullmunch says PC Master Race. Steve said he tried computer games back in the day but was so shit he gave up and never went back. I'm awful as well, mate, to be fair. I'm not very good at them. I used to be pretty decent, I'll be honest. But I'm just old and I've got bad reflexes now. And my older sons put me to shame. Skullmunch is saying he's playing Division 2 at the minute. That and World of Warcraft. Are you, mate? Didn't realise you were into World of Warcraft. Joel's saying GoldenEye on 64 was amazing. I think that's probably my only regret of never having Nintendo, was I never played GoldenEye. Flying Marble says we have most of our originals. The all-in-one's good. All the all-in-one's good. Christian is saying the games are way too hard to play now. Yes. VG says there's a proper Mega Drive Mini out in September. I don't think I could go back and play the old ones now. I used to have like a load of emulator stuff on my Xbox. Used to get like Xbox Media Center and you could put emulator stuff on there. And I used to play quite a lot of them. Things like Kung Fu Master and Ghosts and Goblins and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't think I could go back and play them now. Games are just so advanced now. I don't think I could go back and play them really. So how are we doing for time now? We're coming up to past now. Tim's just saying there, any of you lot from London working down here all week, recommend a good gaming shop, Darksphere. Check out the new Darksphere one, mate. They've got a new one now, I think, and it's where Mantic had their Franticon event a couple of weeks ago, and it's by all accounts is absolutely awesome, mate. Worth checking out. Dice Tales are saying no high score games anymore. God, yeah, but at least you can save them now. You never used to be able to save your games properly, could you? So I think I'm going to wrap it up there now then. So we're coming up to past. It's been a nice little change of pace tonight. Bit of a different chat for a change. Let me know down in the comments. Make sure, first of all, make sure you all go and give this video a thumbs up. Give it a like. Thank you very much. That would be awesome because that all helps the channel. It helps YouTube know that people enjoyed it. So then it pushes it out to other people. If nobody thumbs it up, then everyone thinks it was garbage. Thank you to VJ tonight for the donation as well. Much appreciated. Really do appreciate that. Also, thank you to Chris as well, who was one of my new Patreons. If anybody's interested in being a Patreon, there'll be a link below in every video as well. But yeah, we've had a bit of a change of pace tonight, something a little bit different. Nice to mix it up now and again, hear about all of the kind of other geeky stuff that we all enjoy. If you've got any ideas, anything else you'd like to see us chatting about on a Monday night live stream, please drop them down in the comments here or drop me a message or drop them in the Facebook group. Always good to have other ideas as well. I do this on my own, so sometimes you can get a little bit kind of blinded as to what people want to talk about. It's good to get some ideas for the Monday night lives. And I can just see everybody saying good evening and take it easy. So, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next videos.